Good morning, good day, and good evening. I'm as always your host, Brody Robertson, and today we have a returning guest. Welcome back to the show, Tenley J, Joshua Lee. How you doing?
Not too bad. You can just call me Josh, by the way.
Uh,
It works.
I know I'm gonna
Yep.
call you Joshua every time now, just to bother you.
That's perfectly fine.
Anyway, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. I just got off work after, having a stressful situation at work where,
Hmm.
machines suddenly decided that was just going to explode on us.
That's
That's
always a good
exciting.
start. Yeah. I-
Yeah. Don't buy cheap machines from China.
hmm. How long had that been going fine for? Or was it just like all of a sudden?
Well, I mentioned last time I work in plastic injection molding, and
Hmm.
you watched like that little video
Yeah.
that showed you how it works.
Yeah.
Well, the big clamp that closes the mold,
Hmm.
it decided that it was going to spontaneously break during the peak pressure mode, which is basically right before the mold is actually considered shut and it's done.
Right.
What happened is that the central clamp on it, because it's a toggle machine for viewers, there might be somebody that knows. But basically, what happened is that the toggle exploded
Hmm.
because because of a critical joint failure. So that's why I had to say, "Hey, can I buy an hour from you?"
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. Um.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're watching my channel, I posted a short where I showed a hammer on a machine. It's that same machine, by the way.
Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
because recently that machine had a hydraulic line fail, but
Mhm.
I also had a mold that I needed to get open to get the parts out before they were permanently stuck inside the mold.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, I'm swinging a 20-pound sledgehammer at it, which
Mhm.
I think that's like 35, 36 kilos.
Mhm.
So it's a heavy ass hammer just to force this thing back, which inevitably I did, thank
Mhm.
goodness. But those things hold about 80 tons of pressure. So when you manually slap one back like that, it gets very scary.
Yeah. I'd be worried about losing a fucking hand.
I did not lose a hand, but I could have lost a leg.
Well, try not.
Thankfully, stakeholders, so OSHA ain't got shit on me.
Try not to do that. That's probably for the best. Fucking hell.
There's a proper way to get it done that it takes like 6 or 7 hours because the contractor that has the device
Mhm.
will literally take that long to get to you.
Right. Right. Right.
Or there's a not proper way but still efficient way to get it done that might be a little on the sketch side. That's really what it is.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. That's probably for the best.
Yep.
But hey, look, 6 hours or no, or losing a leg. I think I know which one I'm gonna choose, but maybe that's just me.
I mean, that's also fair.
Yeah, no, I kind of like my legs. They seem pretty useful to me. Maybe that's just a me thing though. So why are you here? Why were you like, yo, oh God, like let me do the podcast again? What's the deal here?
I think what was it, during a live stream?
Hmm.
You were talking about anime?
That is one of the reasons. Sure, but we don't want to scare them away that quickly. I
Yeah,
think.
and I have disagreements with you about some animes that
Do
I
you?
want to cover and explain to you why they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
But
talking
the
about current season animes.
mm-hmm. Well, the other thing you
Uh
mentioned was the Intel Arc GPU stuff. We'll do that first, and then we'll scare people
oh
away.
I need to grab a prop.
Okay,
I need to grab a prop because I have to do props.
sure.
Let's see.
Got a lot of
Get
props
the
you
inside, put
background.
some shorts on. I almost debated not to. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yes.
if you've watched me on the Linux cast, I've talked about these GPUs quite a bit, the A770 and
Mm-hmm.
so on. Uh, Intel Arc Life is good life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how to install video drivers anymore because they just work.
Okay. That's nice.
Yep. Yeah. The only trade-off is
Mm-hmm.
that as a guy that likes to install and test out Linux distributions, especially when those Linux distributions also intentionally ask you to install their distro and test something out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Not every distro works because not every distro ships a 6.2 newer kernel, and some of them that do still blacklist the i915 driver to the point where it wants to work off of the integrated GPU on my CPU compared to the dedicated GPU that I have installed.
6.2 hit EOL in May this year. What is not shipping at least 6.2 at this point?
LTS distros.
That's a fair point. Actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I think OpenSUSE Leap is still shipping a 6.0 something kernel.
Okay.
Red Hat still is shipping the 5.15 kernel.
Yeah.
Debian is still, I think current Debian stable is 6.1.
Mhm.
Ubuntu, I don't know what the current LTS kernel is, but I know by default the installer is pulling up 6.1, but you might have an update to like 6.3 or something like that.
Ubuntu Linux.
But it's not canonical that's asking me to install something. That was actually the Linux Mint team.
Let's see. What is it? I'm not finding. I'm sure someone probably reported on it at the time, but I can't find the.
I know that it released with the 6.1 kernel.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
there are some times where they were through the update cycle they pull in a brand new kernel, or they backport drivers and such. All I know is that last time I tried the LTS, it still didn't work.
Right, so if you wanted to use it on that, you would have to go through that, like... There's a list of setup steps you can do to get it working on that stuff.
Yeah, you basically just activate the kernel, the development kernel PPA, which is shipped and maintained by the Linux kernel team themselves for Ubuntu. And then you can install the Intel repository to pull in the version of Mesa that's properly compiled, and then everything should work after that. But it doesn't always work because everything else is pretty old at this point.
Right.
But I can safely say and highly recommend that at this point, if you're running a more modern distribution like Fedora or Arch Linux or anything like that, Intel Arc has a heavy recommendation because it works faster on Linux than it does Windows. I have verified this. And also, believe it or not, legacy support on Linux games work better than Windows.
Right.
And this is because Proton uses DXVK by default. Which means that your DirectX 8 and 9 games actually work on Linux where they don't work on Windows. Which, yes, I know you can set up and install DXVK on Windows, but it is not a good experience. I don't recommend it. Also, if you're using Intel Arc, use Wayland, not Xorg, because the Xorg drivers are a little sketch because, it's minimum viable. Let's just get this thing working so you can have a basic display output. That way you can install the Wayland version of whatever desktop you're using.
Well, with the
which makes sense.
With the DX9 stuff, Nvidia was doing something themselves with DXVK on Windows. I don't know what the full details there were.
They were integrating a fork of DXVK into their driver. To my understanding, and then their driver was supposed to translate DXVK. That way they could drop like DirectX 8 and 9 support directly on their next generation, the 5000 series GPUs. But that's as much as I know because I don't have an NVIDIA card. Although I have been debating buying an NVIDIA card just to see how bad it is these days. Because the last time I used an NVIDIA card was when it was the easy driver to install.
I've never used... Actually, have I ever had an NVIDIA card? I don't think I've had an NVIDIA card even when I was like back on Windows. I think I've always had an AMD card. Yeah.
It's entirely possible because, there was a point in time where AMD was the value purchase to buy, and their drivers were just bad enough to actually justify the powerful hardware. Because the difference between AMD and NVIDIA is up until about the 20 series AMD GPUs, the AMD GPUs were always, hardware-wise, more powerful than NVIDIA. It's just that the driver support has always been worse.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep, because, AMD doesn't have nearly the investment into, like, the GPU market that NVIDIA has because, that is NVIDIA's entire market. That's like 90% of their business is GPUs. Whereas AMD, they also make x86 CPUs.
Well, I didn't
Which,
realize
they've been killing it lately on this.
I didn't realize just how big Nvidia was. Like, they are one of the like the top 7 companies in the US. Like,
Yes.
actually, like, massive, massive company.
Yeah, and if you thought Google was a powerful company for like lobbying, you haven't looked at what Nvidia has been paying Congress members.
Well, the thing with Nvidia is basically like the people that show up to the gold mine to sell shovels. That's Nvidia. Everybody needs Nvidia cards. That's why they're such a massive company.
Well, it's not that they're selling the shovels. They're selling you the shovels, the carts, and the truck.
Yeah, yeah. Don't mind gold, sell shovels, sell carts.
Yep. But you can in fact mine Nvidia GPUs for gold because per GPU there's physically more gold in an Nvidia GPU than an AMD GPU right now.
Sure, but unless you're getting them for free, I don't think you're gonna be getting too far trying to do that.
Nope, not really.
So with the with your ARC cards, you said that you bought 6 Intel ARC GPUs.
Yes, I am up to 6 so far. I've got one in my desktop computer. I've got one in my home theater computer. I've got one in my server, and then I've got 3 more that are like the other versions. So like the 580, the 380, and then another undisclosed one that I'm testing out for somebody else because he wants to work right now, and I don't want to like talk about that one because it's a secret. Not that it's a secret model. It's an existing model, but it's got special sauce going on with it that we're working on a low-key project for.
Right, I see.
Yeah. It's a contract for a customer. But I'm using it on the HTPC because the HTPC cannot decode AV1 because it's got that old CPU in it. But you can buy an Intel Arc A380, which doesn't require PCI Express power. Even though they got the plug for it, you don't need it. You can just slot the card in and it can draw from the bus. So, and that one supports AV1 decoding as well as encoding, which is why it's in my server. My entire media library at this point is AV1. Which, by the way, shrunk an 8 terabyte data set to almost 3 terabytes. And I have seen no loss in quality whatsoever. AV1 is a fantastic codec. More people should use it. And yes, YouTube supports it.
Yeah, I think they support it for streaming now. When do they start doing that?
Yes. Yeah, you can stream AV1 and HEVC to YouTube. That's HEVC came out like last year, and then AV1 was just earlier this year. I know Epos Vox did like a live stream like the same day that they released it.
I think we're still waiting on AV1 on Twitch though.
Twitch has promised AV1. They've been promising AV1 for like 5 years now, but it requires a lot of hardware upgrades because it turns out that Twitch is still using a lot of 10 series GPUs. Well, 10 series equivalent because they're buying the enterprise ones.
Right. Sure.
Is for that, but that's what they're working on. So Twitch is weird with how their setup is because Twitch is owned by Amazon. You would think that Amazon would just like go and say, "Hey, Twitch, here's a pile of money. Upgrade your crap." That's not how it works. Apparently, Twitch is effectively an entirely independent company that even though they run through AWS, they still have to pay AWS.
Well, my understanding is the reason why Amazon bought Twitch was for the tech, not for the actual platform. My understanding is Twitch doesn't make the money.
No. I would be surprised if Twitch does make any form of profit whatsoever with the amount of transcoding that they have to do alone. Not just in storage, the transcoding, because you think storage is expensive in the cloud? You ain't paid for hardware acceleration yet. I have priced those. That's like $1,000 an hour. No thanks.
There's
but
go on.
But yeah. Twitch does not make any money, but the one thing that Twitch has that Amazon wants is patents. Which, if you're a U.S. business, you want to file as many patents as you possibly can, because that's because if you're in technology, that's where your money is.
Before we get way off topic, I actually was considering buying a A380 just solely for the sake of having an AV1 encoder and decoder, because I just shifting that off of my like AMD GPU, because the AMD GPU encoder is not very good. It's really not very good.
It's better. But
yeah, sure. But that's saying, like, this pile of shit is better than this other pile of shit. Like, yeah, but it's still a pile of shit. Like, I don't want to eat it.
Well, it's not really a pile of shit anymore. It's just a pile of crap.
Yeah, that's true. I would like to buy an Nvidia card. Like, I really would, but I just don't want to deal with the nonsense that is an Nvidia card on Linux. I really don't.
Well, my recommendation, especially for like Arch Linux users, is that if they're going to buy an Nvidia GPU, just use the LTS kernel.
That's fair.
Now, I know Zany came out and made a video the other day saying that you don't want to ever use the LTS kernel on Linux. That's patently wrong, because if software is giving you an issue because of your kernel version, it's because that software done borked itself, or yet another Arch package maintainer is building their package wrong. Which that's been a bit of a crusade myself. I'm already banned from the Arch Linux GitLab.
What did you do on the? Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, it's called. I open a package build. I look at it. I go, that's compiled wrong. That's compiled wrong. That's compiled wrong. And then I open an issue on the package with a link to the Arch Linux philosophy, where they ship vanilla packages without vanilla features.
My favorite, see, I haven't dug that deep. My favorite is the fact they just refuse to ship OBS properly. Yeah,
so the issues with OBS is that there are OBS packages, of course, missing the browser plugin. For the longest time, it was built without the Wayland support or even Pipewire support, which recently
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But they fixed that like sometime last year or something like that. But the main reason why the WebSocket controller doesn't exist in OBS is because they're using the tarball from GitHub and not the OBS CDN that they tell everybody to use in their build instructions.
My understanding is the version of CF minimal they're building against is completely incompatible. That was my understanding.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. Which, they're using an automated build server. It only takes like 2.5 hours for me to compile the Chromium framework. If you have a remote server, just push the git commit, let the GitHub action work through, or the GitLab action work through it, and then it will send you an email when it's done. It's just like installing Gentoo. Portage is the world's fastest package manager. You tell it to do something, you go to bed, you wake up, it's magically done.
Till you realize you set a build flag wrong, you just didn't notice. And then,
I mean, that happens too.
8 hours gone.
But normally it's pretty quick about telling you that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's when you run out of memory, that's the issue.
Yeah. Just get more memory, it's fine.
Well, yeah, it's called go to downloadmoreram.com, or do the Linus Tech Tips thing and mount your Google Drive as swap.
That was when I initially saw because I saw the tweet that video was based on. I was like, "There's no fucking way that's a thing." For anyone,
it's a thing.
For anyone who doesn't
it can be done.
I have to show people. Turn Google Drive into swap.
Let's see if I can find the LTT video real quick.
Wait, is this it? I think this is it. From 2021. Yeah, here it is. So, this absolute fucking psychopath, mounted...
I found the LTT video for you.
mounted G Drive as swap. So, in this case, they had 500 gigabytes of swap. Now, to be fair, this is possibly the slowest swap. Actually, you know what? No. Having a tape drive as swap would be slower. This is one of the slowest methods of doing swap.
Well, it also depends on how much data you have uploaded to the drive folder. Because if you have more than 250 gigs uploaded to Google Drive,
Mhm.
it will the Google API will actually intentionally rate limit you too.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, if you're actively using that much data, they will rate limit you, which makes sense because they don't want people from Data Hoarder backing up to Google Drive anymore.
Mhm. Well, yeah, they used to have these like really cheap unlimited plans. They kind of it was like
Yeah, it's called.
lifetime unlimited or something ridiculous.
Well, what it was is that you just signed up for like the Google Workspace account, which is like their business unit, and then
Mm.
you just gave them $20 and they gave you unlimited drive storage.
Yeah, that seems like
Which there is no way that was gonna last very long.
well, it was the same reason that they started deleting old private videos because people were using YouTube as a backup for like all their family videos and had like
Yeah, and
terabytes of just private videos there. Just
the funny thing is now there's actually a way that you can translate just a normal file
Mhm.
into a static MP4 file,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still do that with YouTube. You can
I
just upload the video as a private, and then have just like infinite cloud backup via YouTube. They won't notice the data storage.
turn your YouTube into unlimited. There's a video I haven't got around to watching. I think it was something like.
I saw the post on Reddit. I didn't actually watch a video.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah. Video by BK Binary. I think this is the video. It's probably about the same. Like the post or the video came first. One of them.
Uh, yeah. That looks like the same thumbnail that I saw.
Yeah, so they basically transcode the oh god, what did I do? They basically transcode the data into a video, and assuming the compression doesn't beat the crap out of it, theoretically you can store as much data as you want.
Yeah. I mean, it's just FFmpeg magic.
Mhm.
FFmpeg doesn't care what you're giving it. It'll just turn whatever into whatever for you.
Yeah.
Well, not quite whatever into a media file that FFmpeg supports.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he is feeding the file as a text file into FFmpeg.
Mm-hmm. FFmpeg's a really cool project. Like,
It is a really cool project. I doubt that there's any person that actually knows everything about FFmpeg.
Well, it's one of these things that, like, it's very foundational to the way we do a lot of video stuff on Linux, and I don't think people realize, like, how foundational it is. There's a lot of video editors, a lot of media players, a lot of just random video-related tools where all it does is just run a couple of FFmpeg commands in the background and just puts a nice GUI around it.
Even GIMP hooks FFmpeg. Firefox, if you build it with the hardware acceleration, ships its own version of FFmpeg. It's done that for years.
When I was talking to the guys that run, what's it called? Oh, it's Media Center, Open Source Media Center OS. Or Media
Kodi?
Center software, sorry. It used to be
Kodi?
called...
XBMC?
Yeah, XBMC. Whatever, Kodi, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's what I use as Kodi.
Yeah, they, like, when we were talking about, like, you know, projects that they rely on, like, they're like, yeah, we couldn't do anything without FFmpeg. Like, this is just, like, without this, it just would not be possible to make anything we do at all work.
I mean, if FFmpeg never existed, would you want to write that library yourself?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
That's almost as bad as building your own web browser from scratch. Almost.
Look, this is why everyone just forks Chromium. Like,
yeah.
As much as it would be nice for people to build their own browsers, like, maybe, okay, back in, like, the 90s, it was viable. But, the web is so massive now. There is so much that needs to be implemented to have modern websites actually function that no one's insane enough to do it. You're gonna just let Chromium do it. Like, it's the same reason why no one should implement a fucking date library. Just let someone who understands date libraries do it, because you're gonna get something wrong.
And don't just randomly pull it from JavaScript, from the JavaScript library, because, you know, the JavaScript library is probably only like 3 lines long, and you could just add that yourself. And and then when that library gets inevitably removed 3 years later, because the developer of that one library just burned out off of maintaining his 3 lines of code. Now you suddenly you have an entire multi-billion-dollar website go down.
Well, the thing with that is back when LeftPad got pulled from NPM, like they've actually got like this giant policy now about like how to get something removed from NPM. Like you have to be like extremely like specific to get removed. Like you've either got to be malware, or I think if like 1 or 2 projects depends on your project or something like that, you can't pull it. Like it's real strict at this point to get something pulled.
Yep.
For good reason. Like LeftPad was a giant mess of a situation that I don't think anybody wants to see repeated.
And it's not alone in that example range either. There's several JavaScript packages that are like that.
Yeah.
Which Rust is actually starting to get that way now too with Cargo.
Mhm.
But they're a little bit smarter about it because the Cargo maintainers are being a little bit more strict about what goes in there rather than just randomly pulling from GitHub.
Yeah, the pulling from GitHub thing's insane. Like I don't know how it's worked at all remotely this well. Like it's impressive that it's not all just collapsed in on itself.
It is impressive, and it has been a very wonderful lesson in computer science. That's really what it is. Because if you want to sit there and figure out how this hasn't broken yet, and you quickly realize that Microsoft is a heavy contributor to Node.js, because guess what several Windows programs use. Then things start to collect and make more sense, because if Microsoft wants it to work, one thing that Microsoft does well, it does actually well with like Windows or like their applications, is that they will make that thing work forever. You can't say that about Linux, because I can pull up Windows 11 and I can get software working that was written back in the late 90s and it can still work. I can't do that with Linux. I mean, I can if I build an app image or a Flatpak for it. Not a Snap, because Snap doesn't have as much legacy support as Flatpak or app image. In fact, app image actually does the legacy support thing best. But because you can't package everything up for FlatHub.
Sure.
But you can't do that on Linux. Or if you can, you have to manually compile it yourself, which then you realize that this program is using like an old version of C that modern GCC doesn't support. Now you have to sit there and find an old GCC package or compile it yourself. Which, by the way, if you thought compiling a web browser was bad, wait until you compile your compiler, because that takes forever once, and when you compile your GCC compiler, it's going to compile multiple times because it wants to make sure that it's right. Because you want that to be right. So GCC on any operating system, except for Linux from scratch, will at least compile itself 3 times when you compile it. And unless you're a savage with a server farm like I am, it will probably take you quite a while. And then if you have packages that are dependent on GCC or that version of GCC, they need to be recompiled against that version of GCC. Otherwise, they don't work. So on Gen 2, by the way, when GCC updates come in, they tell you that you don't have to recompile the entire operating system. But there are people that still do, because, it kind of matters. Especially if you're a DWM user. Especially.
One of the things that I often I see people get confused about with the whole backwards compatibility thing, because people will say Linux is great for legacy hardware, which is true in most contexts. There's a lot of things people kind of like oversell on it, but I hear people try to like extend that argument to like Linux is great for running legacy software. I don't know how they get this far. I really don't know what they've read, like who they've talked to. They're like, oh, yeah, Linux is great for legacy software. I think the biggest thing is a lot of people have been like weirdly conditioned into thinking that everything is like Xorg. Xorg hasn't moved in so fucking long that there are like 15-year-old like X11 applications that still work with absolutely no issue because the API is not really updated. Like it's pretty much the same thing for the past 40 years. Like that's not the way most things work. Most things there's going to be a bit of changes, there's going to be a bit of bit rot. I don't know, man. People are weird.
Well, think about it this way. Xorg is still the de facto standard for graphical applications on Linux. So as a result, rather than the application developers having to maintain their project, think about how much effort it goes into make sure that Xorg still works with modern things. That is not a light task. Not at all.
One thing you mentioned with the Arc GPUs, I'm not surprised that they work a lot better on Wayland. Like, it does make
it makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. Like, Wayland is the direction. Look, look. We get into this topic every single time. Every time I talk to anybody, I have to get into the topic. Wayland is the direction we're going. Advocate. It's happening. We all know it. Whether you like it or not, it's happening.
I mean, it's happened for me at least because, I bought the Arc GPU and I realized that my screen freezes every 3.5 seconds. Let's try this Wayland thing. Hey, it magically works.
What are you actually running on your desktop at this point?
So I have been playing around with jumping around across all the different hyperlink compositors I possibly could find, which includes ones that haven't seen an update in like 2 years, which, surprisingly still compile and work. Waymonad is actually pretty interesting. The only reason I don't have a video for it is because
I heard you said hyperlink compositors.
Yeah, I have tested hyperlink.
Hyperlink is just WL roots at this point. It's
yeah,
it's just taking over everything.
The funny thing about Waymonad is that Waymonad is actually very functional and actually pretty good, but it's built against a version of WL roots that you have to recompile the old XDG portal for, which, by the way, that version of WL roots does not support the WLR portal. So there is no screen capture on that one. So that's why I haven't posted a video on Waymonad.
Yeah, wait, I'm sorry, why are you even trying out Waymonad? It was updated like 4 years ago.
It's free and open source software. I will do whatever I want.
That's fair, you can do that, but I'm just confused why that one.
Because, I honestly think that the Xmonad project should probably look at it because it is Xmonad for Wayland. Almost quite literally. It's just that they basically just need to rewrite it at this point just to get it on a modern version of Haskell and modern version of WL roots. It's not going to be a small task, but, the example is there.
Right. Because I know when they initially did have a look at it and they just wanted to, like, scrap it and sort of start over again.
Yep, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But you think it works as a baseline, as sort of like a bit of reference material about like what a Wayland version of Xmonad could be like?
Yes, I honestly think so. That said, I don't know Haskell programming. I've only ever done any programming in like very bad bash scripting and Lua. That's about it.
So what other WL roots compositors have you tried?
I have, of course, tried Hyperland.
Sure.
I posted a video on that one. I posted a video on LabWC, which LabWC, if you're like an OpenBox fan, give LabWC a look because it's literally OpenBox for Wayland. It's not Waybox. Waybox is more true to that, but LabWC is still maintained. And the only thing that's really different is that LabWC respects GTK themes. It doesn't necessarily directly support like the old OpenBox themes, although you can use the OpenBox themes with it. Okay. It would just translate the OpenBox theme into a GTK theme. So it's one of the few dedicated compositors for Wayland that just straight up is a GTK compositor. So if you're looking for like that floating experience, that's where you should go. That's the only thing that I have verified and like a commenter on the video that was verified is that the dynamic menus don't work. But how many people actually use the dynamic menus on OpenBox?
Dynamic menus being what? I don't use
so OpenBox works off of a right-click menu.
Sure.
You can edit the menu. You can add whatever you want. So a lot of people just put like that menu as like their application launcher.
Sure.
And on OpenBox you can script it so that way you could get like your MPV status or your MPC status, or I mean MPD. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So like you can get your music playback progress, or you can get it to like post like RSS feed updates for you and stuff like that. It's actually really cool. Like actually, DistroTube's config makes use of it in a couple scenarios. So if you haven't looked at that, might want to play around with it, you know. Because OpenBox is still a fantastic window manager even to this day. It's just remember that it hasn't seen an update since 2008 because Xorg, it doesn't matter.
Sure. Wait, I'm sorry. What? Wait, hold up. It hasn't seen an update since 2000. What?
Yeah. Because OpenBox was declared feature complete in 2008.
All right.
Yeah,
that's
I
fair.
mean, if it's declared feature complete, then the only thing that you need to work on is just stability and security patches. Well, it's a window manager that runs on Xorg. So does security really matter? Only if you launch Xorg with root. So if you just don't launch it with root, then the security doesn't really matter that much. So then the only thing that you're working with is stability patches, which OpenBox has 10 years prior of just nothing but stability patches for it. So it's super stable.
Seems like the last update was 2015. Which was a add include of Cairo.h when using libsvg. So like very much a minor, update version 3.6, add missing file, merge, minor branch. All of this is like very, very like minor changes in here. Update Norwegian translation. Add
when was
Galician.
When was the last time a feature was actually directly installed? Added. Let's see here. There's a commit here. Update my email address in 2014.
I can't see anything like super featurey. It seems a lot more like maintenance stuff, just making sure shit still works. It seems like there might be a couple of bugs that are getting addressed here and there, but like nothing like actual featurey.
Yeah, and that is the wonderful work that corporations have put into Xorg, just as a proof of concept right there.
This is my favorite commit.
Commit double space.
Just removes it up. Random double space.
Just removing random double space. Here's the syntax fix.
Beautiful.
The best kind of commit. I am a happy child whenever I'm looking over a Git log and I see something like that. I'm like, what's this commit? Oh, let's look at it. That diff file is only changing a single character. And the funny thing is when you're messing around with a programming language and you see that commit where they're adding the missing comma. Because Lua is table based and every table has its own index. And those index separators are commas. And a comma is such a tiny character that it is easily missed. Especially when you delve in other programming languages that don't require commas in their tables. Thanks, Python.
We love Python. Python's such a great language.
It is a fantastic language that I will never learn. I have no reason to, so why would I learn it?
To stop using bash script for everything and use Python instead.
My bash script is only like 2 lines long, so
that's fair.
Why?
That's fair. Fair point. To use what's that Python Qtile? That one Qtile.
Oh, I guess that would be the most Python I would ever write. Which I've had people request I do a Qtile video because I have this series on my channel called the Window Manager Project, where the goal is to eventually have a video on every single window manager that exists on Linux. It's a long journey. Long journey.
I'm sure there's gonna be some real obscure ones that you're gonna look at some point.
There are definitely some very obscure ones. Like, when's the last time that you've heard of anybody using FVWM?
I think I might be the only other person who knows what FVWM is.
Well, did you know that it's still maintained?
No.
Yeah, there's a version 3 for FVWM. It is still maintained.
Because FVWM was the base for a couple of a couple of window managers, from my understanding.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
XFWM came from that. Yeah.
Now, the fantastic thing about FVWM is that it is a historically important window manager because it was the very first window manager to bring to you virtual desktops. Because FVWM is something like fancy virtual desktop window manager.
Huh. I didn't know that far.
Yeah. TWM, by the way, saw a commit recently too. If you want to use like the standard of window managers, because that is the official Xorg window manager. I'm still trying to figure out how to write a X resources config file for that one. The documentation is fantastic and doesn't exist.
Wait, I wonder. TWM Unix porn. Surely there's got to be at least one person. Oh, I found one.
Oh my goodness, I want to see this. Is it three open terminals? Let's see. It is in fact one open terminal, a web browser. Oh, we've actually got 4 windows spawning in here.
Is that impressive with TWM?
So the thing about TWM is that when you're in TWM, you can't launch an additional program.
Oh.
It has to be launched via X resources on the TWM launch time. Which is why when you run into the Xorg fallback session that some distros run and it boots up TWM, it immediately spawns 3 Xterm windows. Because that's the only way you can actually really realistically launch anything.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a reason why people don't use it anymore.
Yeah. I see why FVWM sort of became a lot more important.
Yeah, that said, there's a reason why TWM is actually one of the most resource efficient window managers you can actually run. It literally only uses bytes of memory rather than kilobytes of memory like TWM.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, it's literally... Because all TWM does, like literally all it does is just tell Xorg, paint a window for me. And then it just plops whatever windows you want to launch inside it. That's it. It's almost like what DWM does, except DWM also has like fancy tiling rules.
Right.
Because, they actually want a functional window manager.
It's funny to call DWM functional, but I guess relative to TWM, yeah, that's true.
Yep. But yeah, there's another window manager called TWM. It's actually like tiny window manager. It's only like 200 lines of code long.
Yeah, I know about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it basically just does the same thing, except that it actually supports like application launching and floating windows.
Wow, that's crazy. What an insane feature that is.
Yeah, what an insane concept.
Oh, it has hotkeys. Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Alt plus button 1 this is terrible documentation. Interactive window move. Alt F1 raise focus window. Wow, that's a really big feature. You can actually raise the window height. Crazy.
Yeah, let's put it on top of the stack, please. It's basically just like, let's put the window in focus.
The fact that you need a hotkey to put it in focus, like, just...
Well, it supports click to focus too, because that's just an Xorg standard feature.
Right. That's fair.
Because, Xorg's totally secure.
My favorite thing I learned about Xorg is that any other window can redraw any other window, which is just amazing. Yep. So if you have, like, a password prompt, another application can just draw over that password prompt and just be like, yo, that's mine now.
Yeah, and that's how your Polkit daemon works. Because the way the Polkit daemon actually draws the way that the GNOME Polkit works or used to work was that it would when something required root privileges would launch through GNOME, it would spawn the Polkit window in a sub-terminal underneath the window manager. And then that would spawn the graphical window that you type your password into.
Right.
And then it would just effectively copy-paste it from the graphical application to the sub-terminal, and then it would launch your application. Efficiency.
I don't think I've used the GNOME one before. I think I had the KDE one installed? Because the terminal based one's been broken for like a long, very long
Well,
time.
you're also technically not supposed to use that one as a user. That's why.
Don't expose it to me as a use. There are some random terminal applications that try to use it, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like,
Yep.
what are you doing? Like, because it uses that as a fallback, obviously, if there's nothing else actually installed, and if you're on Arch, nothing else is going to be installed if you just have like a window manager. So
Yep.
I had to make sure I installed something. I think there was like what was it? It was like there was a CPU Z clone that I'm forgetting the name of. CPU X? Yeah, that one. CPU X,
yeah.
which needed a Polkit daemon installed, and I didn't have one, so I was like, what's happening? Why is it broken?
Yeah, you sit there. I think you use D menu, so you'd open D menu and tell it to launch it, and just nothing happens.
I think you could do like the basic functionality, but there was a couple of things. Like I think it was like you couldn't check temps or something.
It wouldn't be able to check the clock speeds. The boost levels, the bus speeds, but it could basically get everything that you could out of just catting /proc/CPU info.
Yeah, so not super useful, but could be less useful.
Yeah, which realistically, like, do you really need to know that much? If you get the processor's model number, just post that into Google. If you have an Intel GPU or a CPU, Intel's ARC website is literally the reason why I still buy Intel CPUs. Because I know what that CPU's got.
You really like these ARC GPUs, don't you?
Well, I do like the ARC GPUs because I like not having to install a video driver after I install a Linux distribution, and it just works. Like it actually just works and it's fantastic. That and Intel has hands down the best driver support of all the graphics stacks. If you look at it, because they've got the only GPL endorsed driver. Whereas AMD's is MIT and then half the driver's proprietary firmware decryption.
A lot of people forget about that part. They're like, oh look, AMD's got this great open source driver. Yeah, let's just not talk about the firmware. Nope.
And wait. Try to install Triskel with your AMD GPU and then realize that you're hard limited to a 720p screen resolution. Actually, less than 720p.
You know what you could do? Not use a meme distro.
You could do that. Or you could be like me and have a single ultrawide as your only monitor, and then go like, I'm gonna daily drive Triskel for a month, and then find out that my screen resolution is hard locked to 1024 by 768 on an ultrawide, which by the way looks double bad because now not only is everything monstrously huge, but it's fat.
Oh, did it try to stretch across the entire screen?
It does stretch it.
Oh no. I thought you were saying it was going to put like a square in the middle.
No.
That's that.
Because, well, the signal for the square resolution will be translated through the HDMI cable to your monitor. But the firmware of the monitor will sit there and go like, hey, this doesn't fill my entire screen. By default, I'm going to fill up the entire screen. Same thing that your TV does.
Sure.
Otherwise, like if you're watching a Netflix on your smart TV, Netflix will buffer down the video resolution for you, and that way your Netflix movie is still full screen when it's broadcasting 480p.
That's fair.
Which, by the way, Netflix does work on my internet connection now.
What happened this? Give us more stories about your garbage internet situation.
Oh, it is actually not garbage now.
Oh?
Because, the local town suddenly realized that after one of the council members signed up for this Dish Network internet service, that satellite internet sucks.
Yeah, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
Are you in an area that gets, like, really, like, snow or, like, really hot?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It does snow out here, and it does get mildly warm. In fact, I live in the state of Ohio, for clarification for everybody.
I think I kind of got that from the shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could also be Oregon Linux Fest, but it's actually Ohio Linux Fest.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but in Ohio,
Mhm.
the most snow that we get out of a day is maybe like 10 inches, so like that much snow.
Uh-huh.
There are places that get a lot more.
Mhm.
There are places that get a lot less. I recognize that.
Sure.
But the thing about Ohio is that snow very quickly turns into water,
Mm-hmm.
which means that winter here is a giant muddy mess.
Oh.
And every time it gets super cold, all of that mud freezes. And now we've got ice everywhere. Now, the secret about this and why I'm mentioning it specifically is because snow is not bad for electronics.
Mhm.
Water turning into ice is, because when water freezes, it
Mhm.
expands. Boom, science. Water expands something like 2.5 times when it turns into ice. That's why when you're filling an ice cube tray to freeze and make yourself some ice cubes, you don't fill the tray all the way to the top. You fill it like halfway.
Does it expand that much? Expand?
It depends on how quickly it freezes.
Sure.
I believe. But it does grow in volume.
9% green. I don't know. We got 250%.
No, okay. I'm just throwing like random numbers. I'm not a scientist, all right?
I'm not a scientist either. That's why I went to Google.
I own and operate a factory. I'm not a scientist.
Fair enough.
I hire the scientists.
You hit a machine with 8 tons of pressure with a fucking hammer. Yeah, you're clearly not a scientist.
I mean, it worked.
So yeah, okay? What happened with your internet situation? Because you were saying they tried out the satellite. It was garbage.
He pushed out an emergency legislative bill to cancel the contract with Dish Network and sue them for the refund, which they got pretty quick. And then they took all the money that they got back and dumped it on the ISP. So my ISP will in fact last for the next 15 years.
Oh
wow. Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom and pop ISP will continue into next year.
Sweet. That's awesome.
And as part of the upgrade, they get to redeploy their entire network, and they're redeploying with fiber optic lines.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going from phone lines to fiber.
Fucking hell, that's a nice upgrade.
Yeah. I might have, influenced the network admin to place a hub directly across the street from me. That way I can get fiber to house. Because, technically I don't live in town, but I live in a small community that's just outside of town.
Mm-hmm.
So we can so that's justification to put a hub right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, this ISP serves all of the buildings in this little spot that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So, it makes sense to have that hub there. That way you can run service to all the buildings.
Right.
So I'm going to get fiber directly to the house.
Nice.
The only trade-off is that I did in fact have to pay for this.
Sure.
It was not a tiny amount, but it is already paid for, and I'm not going to disclose how much I paid for because then that tells you how rich I am. Which secretly I'm not nearly that rich anymore.
Yeah, five is expensive. Yeah.
Well, the fun fact is that fiber is not actually as expensive as you think it is.
Well, digging holes is expensive.
Well, they're putting this up on poles.
Putting on poles. Oh, yeah, you guys do on poles, do you?
They're not digging. Yeah, we put all our wires on poles here because, here's the thing. If we put it underground, it gets exposed to the water and ice.
That actually is a good point.
Which, I don't know which wire you want to fix. Do you want to fix the one that's up on the pole, or do you want to fix the one that's underground?
That's actually a fair argument. In Australia, we just put... The only thing that's that's not underground is the power lines, and a lot of places do underground power lines as well.
Yeah, I mean it looks better, and honestly, it's probably more environmentally friendly for that wire to be under the ground rather than above the ground. But it makes sense. There are legitimate use cases for it being above ground.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
That said, if the fiber line breaks, there is no such thing as just splicing it back together. You have to replace the whole run.
Good point. Yeah.
Which thankfully, I think the deployment plan is for every 5 miles. They're going to install a relay to help boost the fiber optic signal and keep that light being nice and bright.
Mhm.
So that's going to be a break in fiber line every 5 miles. The
Mhm.
issue is that if that fiber line breaks, you have to replace 5 miles of line.
Mhm.
Which I believe that there are some patches that you can do,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it's not like an actual fix. It's basically just like a band-aid for temporary service.
Right, right. It's not as simple
Which,
as like taking a copper line, just like boop,
yeah,
just work.
which if you're a massive corporate ISP like here in the United States, that temporary fix might be temporarily permanent.
Yeah, yeah. You might just keep pocketing the money that you've been given for 30
Yeah,
years and never
but
do anything.
thankfully, the big advantage of fiber optic lines is the wire itself has no actual cap on the amount of capacity it can serve.
Mhm.
At least not one that we've been able to measure as a species of humans with our current technology.
Mhm.
We have been completely unable to measure that. The only limiter is everything that connects to the wire.
Mhm.
That's the splices, the boosters, and all that.
Right, right.
That's all you really need to upgrade for a modern service.
Mhm.
Which their network switch can serve up to like I think they said it was a 300 terabit switch. It's yeah, and that's a small one. So
So,
we're gonna have some bandwidth here.
yeah, so what sort of speeds are you possibly looking at for yourself?
I am no longer going to be on the dumb pipe. Instead, I'm going to be on a normal person service.
Mhm.
And I'm going to just be going for just standard gigabit, even though I can go significantly faster if I so want to.
How much is gigabit going to be for you? Just out of curiosity. If you can say the number.
Uh, if I don't, if I, to avoid disclosing my super special me discount,
How much would a normal person pay for it, we'll say?
the normal person would probably pay like $120 a month for
Right,
it.
okay.
Yeah, because this is new rollout. They gotta like pay back bills, and they're doing the things where they're promising that the bill might go down in the future after they get everything paid off, which this ISP does actually do because they've done it before. But that doesn't mean that they're going to do it to that other massive companies like Verizon, Spectrum won't as well. They most of the time they just don't.
Okay, the Australian dollar is obviously weak in the US dollar, but I pay $110 for 250 by 25.
Yeah.
So I think 100. So yeah, 120. Let's see what 120 USD is. 120 USD to AUD is
184.
I would pay
185,
$184 for I would pay $184 for gigabit. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Lighted. The idea is that even though the main reason why I'm getting fiber to house is because I'm less than a mile away from the actual ISP. That's why I was on the dumb pipe for the DSL to begin with, because I happen to be physically close enough that they could justify it. Which for the viewers, if you don't know what I mean by dumb pipe, it means that I had no actual cap on my data speeds. It was literally served to me as fast as it can possibly be served to me. That's really it. Which of course means that if the network is under a heavy load, I am naturally going to be the lowest priority on the totem pole, unless I dial number 2 on my speed dial and go like, hey, can I get network priority, please? Which I have done before for the sake of distro hacking.
What sort of like max speeds had you ever seen through that method? Obviously, it was still DSL, so like
I have gotten up to 64 megabits.
Pretty
That's
impressive
just
for DSL.
downloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Upload. I've never gotten more than like 10 to 11. You gotta bear in mind that this is being done through a phone line, which is very skinny and very small.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't know what that is, think of an Ethernet cable, but like a quarter of the size.
I don't think my audience is about my age. I think most people know what a phone line is.
Well, you don't know about the podcast listener.
Actually, let me find out what. No, I think my podcast has like an uptick at like the 65 plus.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, let me have a look.
My goodness.
Audience. People were saying maybe it's people just selecting, like, just scrolling down the age list and just selecting whatever's at the bottom. Yeah, so biggest group, 27.9%, 23 to 27. Second biggest, 28 to 34 at 24.2. Third biggest, 35 to 44 at 23. 2.8%, 45 to 59. 1.7%, 60 plus.
Oh, well, if you worked for a certain telecom provider like I did in the past, I've had to explain how to put batteries into a remote before, so some people just don't know things.
Oh, actually, let me explain my fucking nightmare of an internet service I had. So, I don't have a local mom and pop ISP. I have this, like, mid-sized ISP. So in Australia, every ISP is a reseller. So we have the National Broadband Network. Everyone resells the NBN's lines. There is fixed pricing, basically. Like, there's no movement. The only difference is, like, their individual, like, networking gear. So for a while, I was getting absolute garbage upload speed. I was getting my download just fine. I was getting my 250, but my upload was stuck at, like, 5.5-ish, maybe sometimes 6.5, when I should have been getting 25. Now, this was at, like, midnight, so there should have been no issue getting full speed. I had 4 calls with my ISP, 3 calls where they all wanted me to do the exact same thing. Are you on Wi-Fi? Make sure you're not on Wi-Fi. I literally have a Cat6 cable running from my modem into my computer. Make sure you're not on Wi-Fi. Like, oh, okay, you're not on Wi-Fi. Make sure you're not using 2.4 gigahertz. We just established I'm not using Wi-Fi. Why are you... Go off script a little bit, please. Setting up, like, bridge connections, doing all of these things, and, like, can anybody go off fucking script? Like, once I've done the same...
so, you can I explain that to you?
Yes.
Okay, so, I used to work tech support for an ISP. They have the big letter V, and they serve a fiber optic internet service in New Jersey and Northern California. I think it's Northern California. It might be Southern California. I don't really remember. This was like 10 years ago. But anyways, the system that you would type all the customer notes into is literally a walkthrough wizard, because the people that they pull into that job, you have to first of all recognize that this is the world's crappiest job, because people will call you and the only thing that they ever do is file a complaint, because you're working tech support. You literally signed up for this. Of course, you're going to get the angry phone call. And the phone calls are almost never happy to start with. Sometimes they end very happy. A lot of the times they end passively. And there's a certain fraction where you're sitting there explaining how to put batteries into the TV remote, when your wizard is telling you that this is a customer issue. It is not your problem. Now, this wizard literally will not progress unless they ask you that stupid question. And yes, they can cheat it. However, every single phone call is potentially monitored, and every single phone call is potentially audited, because they don't tell you when they audit the phone calls. And if you cheat your way through the wizard, that's immediate grounds for termination.
It's a bit harder to fire people in Australia than it is in the US, so...
Well, I also live in a right to work state where not only do you have the right to work, you basically have the right to get fired for any reason that is not federally banned.
Yeah, we don't. It's a lot harder to fire people. We have a lot stronger unions here. Just a lot stronger, like, employee protections. It's a lot harder to get rid of. Even if they're fucking garbage, it's a lot harder to get rid of people.
Okay, as a small business owner, I recognize that, it's nice to have like those right to work laws because then I can just fire the person that's obviously not doing their job. But as a person that has been an employee in the past and has applied for jobs and worked a lot of crap jobs, like scrubbing porta potties or working tech support for the letter V, I also recognize that it's very easy to get yourself fired. It's also very easy to become the wage slave in America because that credit card application is like right there and you're already pre-approved.
So
it's very easy to overspend.
So with this ISP, I eventually got the call escalated to a manager who was willing to actually like think off the script. And it turns out that there was like most ISPs, like they give you like a modem that they want you to use. This modem had a firmware update and added a new feature called QoS, Quality of Service.
Ah, yes.
And it enabled itself by default.
Of course.
So it had put, I think the default mode was like general or something like that. So it was like, so most people don't need the full upload pipe because most people are like uploading videos to Facebook, they're doing Snapchat, like 5 megabits fine. And it was hard locking to 5 megabit. It was like, hey, try turning this feature off. I'm like, I don't know how this feature got turned on. Turn it off. Boop. 4 hours.
Issue solved.
4 hours of calls. One person who's like, hey, try this feature. And it's like, okay, it's done now.
Yeah. Now, by intention, QoS is supposed to not do that. Because the way that it works is that if you use your internet service for longer and you're constantly using the upload speed to upload to YouTube, it would eventually prioritize that traffic. The issue is the policy that they're having might not be a self-adjusting policy. It might just be a hard lock policy.
It was very hard.
Yeah, so it could just be prioritizing voice traffic.
There was different modes. There was like a streaming mode, a gaming mode.
Yeah.
But like the mode that was on, it was like the general basic
Yeah, because
mode.
When you upload to YouTube, you're just doing a general upload of a file. And a lot of the general upload is actually, just syncing. And that was probably their intended use case because, that's what the normal person would do. Is they only use their upload speed because, they happen to be running like a cloud sync storage or something like that. Which, in that case, the speed doesn't really matter because past the initial upload, you're just uploading file changes.
Yeah. The one thing I do hate about this one thing I really fucking hate about the modem that they gave us. So it doesn't have a web interface to control it. The web interface just gives you a couple of status things. You control it with a fucking smartphone app. I cannot stand this thing. It is fucking terrible.
Yeah, I briefly bought Starlink. And by briefly means that I almost immediately returned it after I realized that in order for me to make any configuration change to that firewall, I would have to call Starlink and have them change it for me.
There's a fun story about Starlink that I'll send you. I just saw this earlier today.
Oh yeah, the fraud detection.
Yeah, so anyone just listening, Starlink's overzealous fraud detection locked users out of their accounts. Now, there is, on like the Starlink login page, there is no like number to call. There's nothing. The only thing you can do is send them a support email that they probably won't read. That is the only option you have.
Well, it also depends on how new of a customer that you are. If you're a brand new customer, they might respond to it a little bit quicker. Or if you're a business, they're kind of mandated to respond a little bit quicker. But that doesn't mean that they're going to respond any quicker.
My housemate, when we were having this internet trouble, was like, "Oh, let's get Starlink." Like, no, we're not fucking getting Starlink on a house. I have fiber to this fucking house. We're not fucking trying out Starlink.
If there's a hardwire connection that's like larger than a phone cable, like that good old fashioned RJ6 phone line, then don't get Starlink.
No,
just don't.
Like It's great if you have an RV. Like that situation is absolutely great for something like Starlink.
Not even.
Nah?
It theoretically it would work, but Starlink geolocate you,
Mm-hmm.
and it will hard lock to you unless you like pay them an extra fee because you're in an RV.
Well, no,
Which
I mean,
even
like,
then,
they do have their RV
yeah.
version.
Which even then you have to like use like this. You have to log into like your Starlink account portal and tell them that hey, I'm in an RV and I'm about to move my RV.
Oh.
Every time you do that, yeah.
What?
Yep,
Wait.
that's a thing.
Okay, I take back what I said. That just don't. You know what? Just get a wireless hub and just accept that you won't have connections in like giant portions of the country. That'll work better.
Yeah. Or you can either not have service or you can pay for multiple providers.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's a lot of RV people that actually do that. They
Mm-hmm.
pay for both a Verizon bill and an AT&T bill because those are the two major providers in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Verizon if you're East Coast, AT&T if you're West Coast. If you're in the middle, you buy both.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, in Australia we don't have as much of a monopoly in that regard. Like you can generally get good service with everyone. It's usually like in like that center bit, you get like really iffy service, like depending on it. But yeah, it's Australia doesn't have it as like hard of a boundary as it like I understand the US is like this weird non-compete between the major companies. They're like, we will not encroach on your territory as long as you don't encroach on our territory, sort of deal.
Well, the one that happens to be in the general populous area, the lawmakers aren't going to say anything.
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, they probably will, but they'll be encouraged not to.
Yeah, they'll look. It's just a bribe. Just call it what it is.
I mean, I'm in Ohio. Fun fact about Ohio: we literally had a legislator go to jail for 20 years because he was accepting bribes. Thanks, First Energy. Thanks. If any of you are curious about that, look up Ohio House Bill 6. And that'll give you the whole story. Thanks, Cleveland.com.
Wait,
but yeah, this nuclear energy provider, First Energy, was literally paying this guy under the table to pass legislation saying that their profitable power plants were going to fail.
Oh. Wait, I'm gonna
remember where I said profitable power plants.
Mm.
It's just that they weren't as profitable as they used to be because suddenly green energy exists. People are building solar panels and putting them on their houses.
Wait, I'm trying to. There's a story I'm trying to find an article on that fucking every website's terrible. Another US politician.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. So when I'm talking about like representatives, I'm talking about a state representative, not a federal representative. The U.S. is a little weird compared to other countries because each state, government-wise, almost acts like an independent country, but it's not an independent country. Think of it like the EU, but the EU has more power in their union, and like
right.
So like rather than suggesting that the nations have the laws, the EU law is the law. That's generally how that works. But when I'm talking about like a Ohio representative, I'm talking about like a representative that reports to Columbus, Ohio, which is my state's capital, and like their state house, and he represents not only and he represents a portion of the state of Ohio. In my case, being like our maps changed, and I think it's just my county and then like the two counties north of me.
Right.
Yeah. I don't make it a secret of where I live. I live in Logan County, Ohio. You could easily Google my name and find me because I used to be a public advocate. There's no way I'm hiding that shit anyway.
You probably can find like there was some stuff a while back with a certain what was it? certain server provider that had a data leak. So a lot of my stuff's out there. At least it's some older stuff now, but you can find some stuff if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been plenty of other data leaks. My stuff's been in that I just never realized. I'm sure that a lot of my data is out there if you go searching enough.
I have a U.S. credit account that's older than 2014, which that means that basically my entire financial record is available on like the dark web. Thanks, Experian.
Wait, what's the deal there?
Oh, Experian had like that big hack where like every single person that ever had a credit record ever, because they are one of the 3 fundamental credit agencies in the United States, which means that they had all of your data. They just so happened to have it on the internet on a plain text file.
What?
And they only paid like $26 million in fines for it.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, multi-trillion-dollar company posts financial records for every single person that in the United States that has a record account, which is like half the population. And their fine was like $26 million. And a lot of bad press for a year.
I feel like there's a couple zeros missing from that.
There are, in fact, a couple of zeros missing from that.
Fucking hell.
Yep. Not only are there a couple missing zeros from that, but that company still exists. And they are more profitable than ever.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Fucking hell. You have a great country.
It is a fantastic country. You should totally move here.
Never
mind that, there's a very good reason to not move here.
Mm-hmm.
That said, if you do want to move here, I will literally help you get a visa because I need employees.
I'm good chilling in Australia where I can walk outside and there's just I was gonna say there's just some crackheads around, but you guys have that as well. You probably have more crackheads.
Well, my state just very recently legalized recreational marijuana, so yeah, they're definitely outside now.
Australia is very slow in this regard. I think there's medical in like 1 or 2 states, but like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we have medical here.
Mm-hmm.
We just authorized recreational, which that doesn't take effect until like next month, is when that law actually takes effect. But that's not stopping anybody.
Is that
because why would?
Is that like full legalization or just decriminalization?
Full legalization. So the way that the marijuana law works in Ohio, well, at least starting next month, is that it's literally regulated just like alcohol.
Right. So could someone open up a store then, if they wanted to?
Yeah, you can open up a store.
Right, that's fair.
And you can grow the plants yourself. Lighted because it's just like alcohol. You need a license to
sure.
Open up the store and distribute. But it's like a $50 fee for a license.
The US is really weird. Like when you're comparing it to the EU, because like you have that overseer, the EU, that like sets major EU laws. Obviously, different countries have their own like individual things on top of that, but like the fact that there are states that are like fully open with just growing and selling weed right next to states where it's like very, very illegal, and you just like go across the board, like the fact that anything functions in that country, I don't understand.
I have honestly debated for a while now where I should just do a video where I explain how the government infrastructure works in the United States, because it is actually quite fascinating. Because I have the village, I have the county. Well, I have the village, I have the township, I have the county, I have the state, I have the tri-state, and then I have the federal, and then the actual federal.
What is a tri-state? What does that mean?
As in, there's a 3-state, as in for every block of 3 states. So in my case, being Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan, there is a subcommittee of the federal government that can manage that.
Aha.
Yeah.
We don't have enough states for that to be a thing.
Well, I've got 50 of them.
Yeah. Give or take.
Lighted.
What count?
There's probably going to be a commenter that says that the tri-state representative is not a thing. It actually is a thing. It's just that it's an executive thing, not a legislative thing.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
I didn't have a clue that existed at all.
Yeah, it exists. But yeah, I've honestly debated like doing a video about that. But you know, like every town government works slightly different from others as well. But in general, there's like you have the town council, and then there's a mayor, and then there's like a judge. They're all elected, and then you have the county. You have like the staff for the county. Sometimes it's a council, sometimes it's a single guy. Other times it's like a couple guys, or sometimes there might be just one person that does all the county functions for the entire county.
I'm sure there's like some local level governmental stuff in Australia as well. But here, the thing about Australia is no one gives a shit. Like when we get like local elections that come around, nobody has any fucking clue who a single person on there is.
It's the same way here, except that people tend to overestimate just how powerful the federal government is in the United States, when in reality, you should vote in your local election, not the federal election, if you want like things to actually change. Because Donald Trump can't do nearly as much as he claims that he can do, because your local town representative is supposed to do that for you.
Well, I think that the reason why a lot of people here's, I think, what the big difference is. In the US, people choose to vote. So if you're gonna choose to, obviously there's people who just do it because like that's just, they feel like that's what they should be doing. But like, if you're going out and choosing to vote, most people at least are gonna have like some, even if they don't have a good understanding, they're gonna have at least some level of interest in it. Whereas in Australia, everybody is forced to vote, so nobody fucking wants to do it.
Yeah.
Actually, the fine for not voting isn't even that big. That's the thing.
It's probably only like $20 or something like that. Probably something set arbitrarily many years ago when the country was founded and the currency was not nearly as depreciated as it is nowadays.
You actually got it right on
back then.
You got it right on the fucking ball. It actually is $20.
Well, 100 years ago, $20 was a lot of money. Yeah, because you got to think about it. Like back in the day, where it's like if you worked an 8-hour shift and you made $1 a day, you were making good money.
Nowadays, it's more of like just an inconvenience fee. Like you just don't want to have to go and pay it. So like, whatever, I'll fucking just go. Like, it's not difficult to. I don't know how you guys do it, but we just have. So we have our polling day. We do early voting as well for people that like might be out of like out of the state or out of like the country at that time. Also, we don't really care about mail-in. Like, it's just like, whatever, mail-in's fine. We don't, as I said, no one gives a shit about voting, so, like, no one's like, oh, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud. Like, no one cares. Like, if it's discovered that someone's, like, burning a bunch of ballots, so like, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. But we have polling booths, like, everywhere. Like, every school has a polling booth. There's polling booths, like, just random other places. Like, there's just polling booths everywhere. It's not difficult to find a place.
Yeah. I mean, it's also not difficult in the United States either. It's just by law, there has to be at least one booth per county, which a county is a substate of a state. So there's at least one, and then it's up to the states if there's more. So in the case of the United States, there might be a section of a city that's in a county, and that county only has one booth to serve roughly 4 million people.
Yeah, when we walk into a polling place, there's like lines of booths on each one. Like, they'll have like 10 or 20 booths. I'll get there at like 9 in the morning as like one person in there.
Yep. Same way here. But yeah, and then the only reason why like people claim that voter fraud is an issue here is because, they don't realize that the election process for like counting the actual votes is actually very, very restricted and very much verified multiple times. So when they call for a recount, it's actually a giant pain in the ass. Because, so here's the thing. In the United States, when they're counting the votes, I, as a citizen, I'm allowed to walk into the Board of Elections and watch them count the votes. so I can watch them count the votes. That's called poll watching, and verification. But there are parties of the United States that are convinced that there's a lot of fraud when, in fact, when there was an actual investigation and was an actual court case and they presented their issue for fraud, the evidence that they showed was that the fraud was so minimalized that even if there was fraud, it would not have affected the actual results of the election. Because what they would show is they didn't show like massive buses of illegal immigrants voting. Instead, they showed a woman that's been voting using her husband's name since like the 30s, because that's what they used to do back in the 30s.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've now that we've pissed enough people off,
I am sure that I've frustrated like at least a third of your audience.
Now that we've done that, let's scare the rest of them away and talk about some anime, because that's what you wanted to do.
Yes, anime, bad anime, good anime. I'm sure that there's gonna be some bad anime takes.
What takes do you think I have that are a problem?
Okay. I want to talk about Free Run.
Okay.
Because you said that was basically mid.
No, okay. I said I felt like the first couple of episodes were not that great, and now that Stark's involved, it's really good.
Yeah, it's better. Now, what a lot of people are mistaking Free Run for is that it's not actually about Free Run.
Mm-hmm.
Free Run is actually about Himmel the hero.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you go to Crunchyroll to watch your anime, which in the United States you're probably doing that because Monopoly, you can see me in the comments going like, "This is the tale of Himmel the hero. He inspired this person to do this, or his effect was so mighty he did this."
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me commenting in there because, in truth, in the very first episode, this is the tale of Hero the Himmel. Mm-hmm. His might was so mighty he literally made 1,000-year-old elf cry on his passing. Or this is Himmel. This is the tale of Himmel the hero. Mm-hmm. His influence was so powerful that he literally had statues built of himself. Or no, like his I'm losing words right now. Mm-hmm. He was so proudful of himself that he literally built statues of himself just so he can be remembered. Yeah. Or this is the tale of Himmel the hero. He is so powerful that he inspired a mage thousands of years before he even existed to do something. So I am actively like in the Crunchyroll comments typing stuff like that up just for the fun of it. I'm waiting to see a reply. I hope that if somebody has a Crunchyroll subscription and finds that comment, that they give me a reply, because I'd love to have it. Love to have a tale about Himmel.
There is 1,400 comments on the first episode. I don't think I'm gonna find it, but
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, didn't think it would go too well, but okay. Yeah, I like Free Run. I think it is really good. I just don't understand why it is being hyped up as like one of I think the scores dropped on Mao now, but like when the first episode came out, it was like fucking, I think it was like number 3 or something insane.
Well, the biggest thing that it has going for it is that Free Run is generic epic fantasy.
Oh, it's ranked 2.
Yeah, it is generic epic fantasy. Mm-hmm. It is very well done. Like, the art in the show is beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, I have literally paused it, taken screenshots, and I've turned some of that stuff into desktop wallpapers, because this show is that good, with just the art, and then the voice actors nail it.
Yeah.
Like in the most recent episode, right there at the very end. That's like gold star voice acting right there. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Also, Free Run's a savage.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the latest episode. That was really, really good.
Yeah, and they do demons, right? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the shows, like here's a demon. They have like this goofy thing that they do. Mm-hmm. You watch Free Run and you're like, this is what an actual demon should be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. they are just monsters, and they are pretending to be humans. That way they can eat humans.
Yeah, that mini arc was really... I think that's where I really started to enjoy it. Like, for anyone who... Yeah, just gonna be spoilers. So, basically, when they get to, like, the town they're in now, there are some demons that come through, and Freeren has basically spent... Like, during her time with him or the hero, like, she murdered, like, tons and tons of demons. Like, she knows exactly what they're like.
Before.
Yeah, even before. Yeah, sure. Like, I've with her introduction story as well. Like, that her village was killed by a bunch of demons. But, like, she understands what they are at this point, and for some reason, the people of this era have just gotten... I guess they've just gotten too used to peace. And they're like, they just don't know.
If you look at the start of the episode, it's literally 80 years after the death of Himmel. So it's at least 100 years since the Demon King's been defeated.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And basically, the demons have no like empathy, no human emotion, but they're able to emulate it really well and sort of make it seem like they do in a way that convinces a lot of people that they can be reasoned with, when in reality, it's basically like trying to reason with fire. Like, it's not gonna happen. It's just gonna burn you. Good luck.
Yeah. But honestly, it is also just a good generic fantasy anime, which it's been a while since we've had just generic fantasy. Because a lot of it's been like isekai.
It's a lot of isekai, yeah.
Which people are saying that this isn't an isekai, but isekai is its own genre. Isekai is not really a genre; it's a trope. There's a difference.
I think it's become, I don't know. It's one of those things where even though you are right, it is a trope, there are so many things that sort of get attached with isekai that it kind of became its own genre.
There are some shows where it's just like, why is this even an isekai? I mean, Faraway Paladin? Does that really have to be an isekai?
I stopped watching it.
Yeah. I have to rewatch the first season because I don't know what's going on in the very first episode of the second season. Yeah, so I kind of stopped watching that one, and I told myself I need to go back and watch the first season because I remember like the show actually being decent. I don't remember it being like awesome or good.
Yeah.
But I remember it being decent, so it's on the watch list. I'm just not actively keeping up with it this season.
I always like to go check on what like Mal rates things, because I know Mal has absolutely no taste. 6.85 for the first season, which is basically a 0.
Yeah.
Mal works off a 4-point scale. Anything below a 7 is basically the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and then same thing with like Rising of the Shield Hero. That's on its 3rd season, which supposedly the 3rd season is actually really good. It's just that the second season had such a bad start to it.
Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I need to show you something.
Oh, he's got a shield. He's got a shield, guys. Does he have a shield? Oh, does he have the light novels? This guy's true weeb trash. I just watched the shows. He watches he actually reads the novels and mangas. Holy crap. Oh, you have the whole thing.
I just grabbed a bunch of them from the middle.
Is that all Shield Hero?
Yeah, it's not all of Shield Hero, but yes, this is all Shield Hero. This is
all right.
What is it? Goes up to volume 15 here. So I like Shield Hero, as you can tell. Now, the part. Oh, I dropped one. I dropped more. Okay, let's see. So the part from. Yeah, here we go. There's the season 2 volumes.
Yeah.
Now, the problem. I don't know what the fuck they were doing with the pacing. That part of the...
It definitely seemed a little messed up.
That part of the light novel, I fucking love. When I knew they were doing a season 2 and we were gonna see that stuff being adapted, I was so excited. I don't know what the fuck they did to ruin that. Like, that is one of my favorite parts of the series. But then the anime came out, and it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, I heard somewhere where it's just like even the author wasn't like the biggest fan of like that specific arc and was kind of confused as to why they even put it in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading that. I don't really know for certain.
Well, then when it got to the end, they skipped an entire volume just to get the town set up quicker.
Yeah. Which, it's an anime. They have to make concessions somewhere. It's just that these are a little questionable. I haven't read the light novels or read the manga, so I don't actually know.
I think what they're doing this season, they are going real fast this season, but I don't know why it feels better. Like, where is it? I'll see if I can find it. So yeah, there we go. You got Atla there. What? Atla and Foal, and that's the Aqua Room. That's the dragon we're gonna see in a couple of episodes. Spoiler, I guess. But like they went through Sedina's volume in like a fucking episode.
Bear in mind, for clarity's sake, I haven't watched all of season 2. I kind of just dropped it because it.
I mean, that's season 3. This is season 3.
Yeah. Oh, we're on season 3. Okay, I haven't watched season 3 yet because I have yet to complete season 2.
Season 3 is so much better than season 2.
Yeah.
They've like upped the animation quality. They've somehow fixed everything that was wrong. Because I also had a problem with season 1. Season 1 was so badly paced.
Season 1 was badly paced. But like, I honestly think that the first season of Shield Hero, for like the non-reader, is amazing. Like the very first episode was definitely a drastic change. It is a very rough change if you're sensitive, but that is a banger of an opening episode.
No, yeah, it was really good.
The only thing that the only gripe that I have is that he wasn't bad guy Shield Hero for very long. I mean, I would have liked to see him fall more.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore. He's now good guy. Time. Everything's good guy from now on.
Yeah, and they call it the Shield Hero, so of course he's going to rise and be the good guy.
He rose to be the Shield Hero. No, I think episode 1 was incredibly good. My problem is there was a lot more time spent between Naofumi and a bunch of books fell over. Naofumi and Raftalia when she was young and like getting to know each other, because it kind of felt like like Raftalia we meet now we're like Raftalia's like adult, we're really close, like that just like jumped basically straight away.
Yeah.
There was like an entire volume, like it.
That was interesting. Where it's like you're watching a single episode, and she's young, and then the very next episode she's basically like young adult.
Yeah,
and then then they just casually mention, oh yeah, when they gain experience, they tend to show their age, get older as their age, and then like the second season, she was back to being a little kid. It was when I dropped, and he found her. I was reading.
That also,
I read the comments, and the commenters didn't like it.
Yeah, with season 2, they completely changed the way that segment worked. I don't know what they did. So the thing with Shield Hero as well is there are certain segments of the light novel of the series that have been just entirely rewritten on each different adaptation. Like the light novel is different from the web novel, is different from the manga, is different from the anime. So I don't think the author is entirely sure how he wants like certain segments to play out.
That's awkward.
So I don't know. I think season 3 is really good though.
Yeah, maybe I should be buying the books.
Maybe. What else are you watching? What other bad takes do you need to correct me on?
Let's see. Apothecary Diaries is somewhat mid.
You're
not watching it?
I've heard it's good.
Okay. Animation wise,
Mm-hmm.
very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Plot wise, very well done. Character wise, a little bit on the low end.
Mm-hmm.
The best character is the main character, because she's actually down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
All the other characters, mid to bad, mid to bad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, by the way, Attack on Titan is still very mid.
I agree. 100%
Very
agree.
mid.
I watched that final Okay, here's a hot take I can agree on. Do you watch the final episode?
I have not watched the final episode yet because
Oh.
here's the thing about Attack on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
I've never watched it on time. I tend to just leave it sit and then maybe I'll get around to it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I only just started the first season of the final season.
I watched the final episode the day it came out. I was like,
Yeah, don't be afraid to spoil it because I just don't care.
so did you want me to I can just spoil it.
Just go right ahead, man. Go right ahead.
Aaron's not actually a bad guy. So it turns out that he had like conversations with all of like his friends beforehand about like what his plan was, but then he deleted their memory and it was only going to come back after he was killed by them.
Of course.
So the reason why he tried to genocide the entire planet and successfully genocided like 95% of the planet was so that he could become the villain, so that what the fuck's the island called? Paradiso, whatever it's called. The island, the Titan Island, so that no one would attack them because they would be seen as like the heroes. They're the heroes that saved the world from the evil Attack Titan. So he genocided most of the planet for that reason. That's his entire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's pull out our Lelouch, please. Let's not bring Lelouch back.
Yeah.
Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
Don't watch season 2 of Code Geass ever because it is not worth it.
It's great.
Don't.
No, Code. Nah. What are you talking about?
Season 1, perfectly fine. Don't watch season 2 if you love season 1. If you love season 1, don't watch season 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you're that curious and it is bothering you to watch season 2, then go ahead and watch season 2. Just remember that as soon as you watch season 2, season 1 is ruined.
I watched it so long ago. I enjoyed it back when I watched it.
Yeah.
See,
I guarantee that you won't get nearly as much enjoyment out of season 1 now.
See, here's what I've realized. I stop giving a shit if something is good. See, I watch absolute garbage, and I'm like, you know what? Turn my brain off. It's fine. Like, I'm watching a series this season called Toaru or Sun, which is about a dude who plays an MMO. It's basically an isekai. It's an isekai MMO series, but he's not actually an isekai. He's just playing a VR MMO. And
if you don't know what it's called Shangri-La Frontier.
That's also really good. That's actually one of the best things airing right now.
This is different. This is a different one, isn't it?
No, this is yeah. This is trash. Shangri-La Frontier is actually good. Anyone not watching Shangri-La Frontier should be watching it.
Yes.
So
I haven't watched episode 2 yet, but I've watched episode 1, and I agree.
Wait, you're not. Oh my god, go fucking catch up on Shangri-La. Jesus Christ.
I've got a backlog, all right?
Yeah, I got a backlog as well. Nah, so
I've got a backlog. I'm currently working through Arknights.
So the the character you see in the opening, like the purple hair girl and the blonde, like it's just getting now to the point where people are teaming up. Like the next episode is going to be like when they start teaming up to like go do shit together. But man, some of the fights in this series have been like The one thing I don't like about MMO anime is, as someone who plays MMOs, there's some things where I'm just like, no sane fucking person would design this into a game.
Yeah, like the only one that I think really did like MMO mechanics right was the very first season of Log Horizon.
Yep, I'll agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only MMO anime that actually did things right. Which, by the way, did you know that there's a season 4 of that show?
So what?
He didn't know.
Wait.
Nobody knows that Log Horizon has a season 4.
Wait. I watched Entaku Hawkai. Wait, no, there's not. There's season 3.
There's a 4th season.
I'm not seeing one. Eh? You sure?
Yes.
I need some details here, because everyone's saying
So,
when will there be a season 4? What?
Here's the thing about season 4, right?
Uh-huh.
It's been recorded, it's been produced, it even aired in Japan. They have been hinting that they're going to release it to like the rest of the world. But
you sure? Because I'm sure someone would have recorded and uploaded it.
I'm sure because I actually have a friend in Japan that's watched it.
I'm not seeing any. I feel like your friend's lying to you. I'm not seeing any details on this, and I'm sure there would be someone who's like, we get simulcasts of people sub shit.
I promise
straight
you.
Away.
I promise you, it does exist.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Unless I can see evidence of that being the case. I'm gonna say that your friend's probably memeing.
Wouldn't it be the first time somebody's memeing me? But you know, this one I do believe, because I want to believe, because that show is secretly good. Yeah, season 2 was a bit of a downer, but I honestly think that the show is actually good, and it's probably worth the watch. You know?
No, see, I think Log Horizon is really good. I don't remember any. Log Horizon is one of those series that has a few too many characters. Like, season 1 was easy to follow because it's just like the main group, and then when it's like you have all these different sub parties doing all these things, like who the it's like when I watch. Have you ever seen a certain scientific railgun? No.
Yes.
So Magical Index. Index is
yes.
Index, by the time it gets to World War 3, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
What the fuck's he doing?
I might have an obsession.
Yeah. No, yeah. When I watched the latest season of Index, whenever it fucking came out like 3 or 4 years ago, I'm like, who are half these characters? I don't know who any of you are.
The hard thing about that season of Index is that the only way it actually makes sense is if you watch all of the content.
I've watched all of it. I just don't remember most of it.
The biggest issue that it has is that they went with a very, very, very fast pace. And that's why you don't remember anybody.
Right, that makes sense.
Because every single one of those characters, you can rewatch everything and go like, oh, that's where that character came from.
I'm sure if it were a rewatch, it would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. And the issue with it is that they said that they're not going to make a new season of Index, depending on Blu-ray sales for like Railgun.
Right.
So they're kind of hard limiting it, which honestly, I think that Railgun is actually the better show.
I like Railgun.
Than Index itself.
I do think Railgun's better.
Yeah. I might have declared Misako waifu at one point. I have better waifus these days, but Misako was the original waifu.
So, okay. Is there anything else seasonal that you? What are your? What is your full list of seasonal things?
My full list of seasonal things right now.
Yes,
Arknights.
I don't.
Actually a good show.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Take.
So Ar- if you watch Arknights, the
Uh-huh.
premise is a little weird because it's basically just like Fire Emblem
Hmm.
because it's based off of a video game called Arknights
Yeah,
where
I'm
it's
already
basically just
game.
like it's just like Fire Emblem where it's just like you play the character. And
Right,
so
right, 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 right.
the main protagonist of Arknights
Hmm.
is you are the strategist
Hmm.
that, runs the party. So the premise is a little weird,
Hmm.
but it kind of just comes together and actually makes sense into like an actually decent show. Not like anime of the season, but
Hmm.
pretty good.
Right. Fair enough.
Uh of course I'm watching for your end. I'm not watching Doctor Stone because I never really enjoyed it.
Really?
Uh g-
Okay.
yeah, I'm not a big Senku fan because I it doesn't make sense that some of the things that he does is just like he just
Yes.
magically knows exactly what to do.
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
Exactly. That's why it's fun.
it's great at portraying him as like this genius character, but it's just like, can he please have like something that he actually has to spend an episode figuring out?
No, every character is a trope. That's what's great
Yeah,
about it. Like Taiju is just like strongman. Every single
yeah,
character is just an extreme trope.
yeah. Uh, Goblin Slayer, of course, going to be once again
I
anime of the season.
I am not watching it, not because Goblin Slayer is bad, because I never got around to watching the movie, and I did sit down and watch it and then catch up with the episodes. That I'll get around to probably
Yeah.
soonish. I love Goblin
Of
Slayer. I
course,
just haven't watched it.
I'm watching One Piece because I haven't missed a single episode of One Piece in over 20 years now.
Now I am watching One Piece, right?
Yeah,
But I am not up to modern One Piece.
that's
Um,
fine.
I am currently watching the fight with Crocodile. The first,
That
like,
that that
right,
is fine. That
right,
is
yeah,
okay.
like
Okay, so
Alabasta.
so when you're watching One Piece
Hmm.
and you get up to
I read the whole
post
cake. Feel free to spoil anything.
okay, you read the whole cake. Well, when you get to Punk Hazard,
Hmm.
that's when you stop, take a break, come back, and then binge watch it 20 episodes at a time. Because believe it or not, that's the best way to watch One Piece is to
Hmm.
binge watch One Piece.
Hmm. Hmm.
You don't just sit back and watch a single episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a reason why I don't watch One Piece every single week.
Hmm.
When I say I don't miss an episode, it means that I sit back for like a month and then I watch 4 episodes in a row
Right, right.
because that is the best way to watch One Piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they stretch it out so they stretch it when it comes to that point they start to stretch the episodes out so long that you can sit back, watch an episode, and feel like nothing happened.
That's why I read the whole cake. I
Yeah,
read the whole cake when whole cake was current,
yeah,
and I was like, I can't do this. It's not happening.
yeah. So honestly, I think that you should watch One Piece,
Hmm.
but just remember that the best way to watch One Piece is to binge watch it,
Yeah.
and it's a very sad day when you get caught up because then you realize nothing happens. I mean, yeah, there's the occasional episode, and then like you're going through the current arc, and then they make a reference to like the actual overwhelming plot concerning the world government, and you're just like, mind blown.
Well, I've seen Crunchyroll's really good at posting spoilers, so I've seen like all the Joy Boy
Yes,
stuff that's happening. Like,
yeah.
there are episodes, like individual episodes like that, but it's
Oh,
very
oh
rare.
no, like as like a person that hasn't read One Piece,
Hmm.
I was very disappointed that we're like one day I googled One Piece, and then ever since then my YouTube feed has been nothing but One Piece content,
Hmm.
spoiling Gear 5 before Gear 5 was actually revealed.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like, thanks YouTube.
Yeah, I know about that from the
Thanks.
manga as well. So
It,
yeah.
yeah, and when they get to it in the anime, they drag it out so freaking long. That's just like, can we just get this done and over with already, please?
Yeah, but
Gear 5 is amazing. Gear 5 is amazing.
I don't think it was
You
dragged
should
out as
enjoy it.
long as Super Saiyan though.
It was not dragged out nearly as long as Super Saiyan, no. Because, believe it or not, Dragon Ball Z would not pass the modern day test.
That's why Kai existed.
Yep. Let's see. Spy Family.
Of course.
Because
The thing about Spy Family, I don't have anything to say about Spy Family because it is literally just season 1, but more of it, and that's okay. I have no problem with that.
we want that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
No changes.
Yeah. Yep. In fact, you can go to Crunchyroll, watch a clip, see all the characters do things that the characters are doing, and they're doing the exact same things.
Yeah. If
now.
if you show me an episode in season 1 or an episode in season 2, I don't know where it is. Unless
that's it.
Unless the fucking dog's in there, like that's the only thing that will give me any indication where it is. Anything else, I don't know where it is. Somewhere.
That's it. That doesn't mean the show is bad.
No, it's right
because they do it really, really, really well.
It didn't have to change anything. It was perfect.
Just So what the show is that it establishes the characters and then it throws the character into the situation, and the character will almost always reacts exactly to the situation as you would, as you've been grown to expect the character to react to the situation. There's no surprises, but that's not a bad thing.
Nope.
Because it is fantastic. They do a good job.
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see. Eminence and Shadow. Because yes.
So you've seen the latest episode. You've seen the.
I have seen.
Dealing with.
I have seen them digging the holes.
Okay. This I think might be Shadow's biggest being a fucking idiot situation. He forgot that he gave the message to Beta.
Yep.
He's like, how do they know? He doesn't even know they have the gold yet.
Well, the reason why he wrote the message was just to get them to go away. He says it. So why would he remember about it?
I don't think he ever expected Beta to be able to translate it. That's the thing.
Yeah. The best part is that all these characters are super not aware of Sid. And that is the best part about the show. Because, okay, so, like, the show, without Sid, our main character, the show would actually be pretty decent. But the fact that they're injecting this guy that's just, like, trying to pretend to be this other guy, and he's doing a fantastic job of it, is the best part. Because I honestly think that his power is not necessarily like his magical power. I think he has a secret power where if he imagines things, they're real.
Well, that's the theory that people have with the light novel. People were initially thinking like the entire series was just a dream, which would be that would be the biggest shit post. Imagine it's like, oh, you used to wake up from a coma. Bye. End of the series now.
Yeah, that would probably make sense. I would not be surprised to see that happen, but it would be hilarious all the same.
Like, I don't even know, like, this series just does whatever the fuck it wants. I'm just like, okay, I just accept it.
Yeah,
like,
and they're doing a good job of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just come with any bullshit, I'm fine with it. It's all good.
Yep, and then I'm watching the Rurouni Kenshin remake because I'm hoping that they actually do a good job of it.
I've never seen Rurouni Kenshin, so
Okay, so if you watch the original Rurouni Kenshin, it stops after the big final arc of like episode 45, even though there's like 97 episodes. Every single episode after that is just filler.
I see.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic show and definitely worth the watch. Just remember that when he kills the big bad guy, don't watch any more episodes. It's done after that. That said, of course, there are the issues with the author, and there, as a result, there's a lot of people just refusing to watch the show because author. Which I think it's either Treesicle or Bonsai Pop has an amazing video about it. Like if you go to YouTube and you type in Rurouni Kenshin, you'll find like their videos because he's got like the most popular videos about it. But I'm watching the show because I think it's a good show. Yeah, and it has not proven me wrong so far. It is still a good show. Under Ninja, great.
Yes, Under Ninja is fucking legendary.
Yes, legendary.
I put this show on my list. I have zero expectations about it. I just read the description, like, okay, whatever, it's gonna be something dumb. What the fuck is this series? This actually is one of the best things I've seen all year. I don't understand.
It's like...
Okay, let me just explain one plot point in Under Ninja. So, there is a homeless crackhead who lives in the park, who drinks breast milk, and the kids that play in the park call him Mr. Breast Milk. Okay? And he keeps offering everybody breast milk. Now, turns out the homeless crackhead is not actually a homeless crackhead. The homeless crackhead is actually a ninja wearing a full bodysuit, and inside is this leader of the ninjas, running this small part of the ninja clan. And in this world, ninjas are just a normal part of Japanese society, but everyone accepts that you just don't talk about them. So there's just crazy shit happening everywhere, and everyone's like, nope, no, what, nope, we're gonna talk, nope, it's fine, don't worry about that. And then there's this Russian dude, the Russian dude, who comes to Japan. He's like, I will become ninja. So every little sign he sees, he's like, okay, this must be a sign from the ninja. And it's like, if you pee on my street, I'll cut your dick off. Okay, so if I cut 3 guys' dicks off, they will let me become ninja. It's like, what are you talking about, you fucking psycho? And then there's the whole plot point with the main character's not even the main character. He's just not even in the latest episode. He's just going to the other character. I don't even care.
And you know what? That was one of my favorite things about Durarara. If you remember that one, because you know every character in that show happens to be the main character. By the way, you just don't realize it until after the main character is gone for 4 episodes in a row.
That's actually a really good comparison. Because that series has all of these different plot points going on at the same time that don't make any fucking sense until 12 episodes later. And that has the same feel here. A lot of shit's going on that's all linking back into each other.
Now, that's the kind of show that when you watch it, you're probably best off taking notes. Actually.
It's also
this is where I last saw
week
this.
to week.
Yeah, it is kind of disgusting. That's why you take notes.
Yeah.
Because I am currently reading this fantastic fantasy series called The Wheel of Time, and they do something very similar in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I have decided I'm going to pick up the notebook and start recording character names and locations. Because there's a lot of characters in that book, too.
Mm.
And I don't necessarily remember where I last seen them all.
Yeah, that's good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm working through it. I am now for non-seasonal. I am watching The Legend of the Galactic Heroes because I love space operas politics.
Mm-hmm.
If you love a thinking man show, that is the show to watch.
I don't.
Yeah.
I like turning the brain off.
Yeah, I mean, you can turn the brain off, but this one is just legitimately good, and I recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I have watched the Mushoku Tensei, and I have, in fact, cheered for the main protagonist at the end of the season, because, he finally got it up. Yes, we had an entire season about that.
I do have a bunch of light novels of that on my shelf as well. Not as many. I love Mushoku Tensei so much.
I'm waiting for the current season of Tonikawa to ffinish. I think it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I really enjoyed the first season, because that's a bit of a trash show.
Actually, speaking of trash shows, do you know what's really trashy?
What's that?
Hyakano.
Which one is that? I don't know the Japanese
names. Let me find the English name.
I live in America, so I only get the
you only speak American. The English name is... Where's the English name? The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You.
I have heard about that one.
Watch it. It's fucking trash.
I imagine it is. Is it like every new episode introduces a new girlfriend that
Uh, uh,
absolutely has to love him?
so the anime is only gonna have the first 5.
Yeah.
But I checked on. So this is one of those series where I'm like, surely they don't commit to the bit. They commit to the bit.
They commit.
I went to the wiki, and the wiki currently lists out his 26 girlfriends. Now, the fun thing about this series is each of the girls is like an extreme trope. So the first girl's introduced is like this big boob girl who's just like super horny all the time, who's introduced alongside this like the most generic tsundere like ever like tsundere textbook level tsundere.
Hang on a second. Hang on.
Mm.
They're testing the siren right now, so give it a minute.
I don't hear anything.
There's a tornado siren that they test every Friday about this time, and it's currently going off. So like if I talk quite a bit here, you might hear it in the background.
I can barely hear it. Like,
oh, okay.
It kind of sounds like fans on in the background.
Yeah, it's going to get a little bit louder here. Yep, and then it's going to get quieter. Quieter as it points away because it's one of those spinning sirens.
Oh,
yeah, it'll go for like a minute or two, something like that. They test it every Friday. That also tells me that it's also my reminder on Fridays to go to bed.
What time is it for you? It's like 11. No,
it's noon.
12. Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah, it's noon.
God, imagine being noon. It's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I honestly think that time zones are bullshit. They need to be abolished, and everybody just needs to use UTC. That way, I can actually schedule phone calls with like my Chinese support staff that live in China.
See, I've mentioned this before.
Not make it ridiculous.
But like I actually have said this, but then people are like, oh, but does that mean like fucking 8 a.m. is gonna be midnight somewhere? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's fine.
And it's only a bad thing if you care. If you're a system if you're managing like international phone calls, then you would absolutely agree with both of us. Absolutely.
Just everyone operate on Unix time. Just send people you send people a Unix timestamp for when you want to schedule something. That's what you need to do. Boom.
Oh, I should do that. If I'm ever on the next episode, I should just give you the time in Unix format and let you figure that shit out.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, honestly. Because half the time when I ask them what the time zone is, they're like, "Oh, it's I don't know, fucking." They're like, I don't know, MDT, and it's like, no, you're not in MDT right now. You're not in fucking daylight. Like they'll know they're like the daylight savings or the not daylight savings form, but they never know like which one they're actually in. Like, like, just know your goddamn time zone. To be fair, I don't remember. Yeah. I just convert it every time.
Well, I have been trying to like in like my live streams, I've been trying to give like the UTC time.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense because I have a fairly large European audience, and I'm sure that they appreciate when I give them the time in UTC rather than US Eastern Time, which is -4 UTC.
I usually try to give like a couple of times. Like if you go UTC and then I don't know, like MT or EST or like anything like that, like that's enough to cover most people.
Yep. Let's see. What else am I watching? Let's see. I mentioned that. Whatever happened to My Hero Academia? Why is nobody talking about it anymore?
There's no season right now. We're waiting on the final season.
Well, I've seen that there's a season 5 and a season 6, but I haven't watched them, and I haven't heard anybody talk about them. Like, has the show gone bad?
It's very. So the appeal of My Hero early on was it was something different. And then it's like, you know how Spy Family is the same, but you don't care? My Hero is like that, but you do care.
I see.
And like, I don't know. I like it personally, but once again, I just turn my brain off. I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah.
sparkly colors, big punch.
Okay. Okay. So then I shouldn't tell you that I think that Sword Art Online is actually a somewhat decent show.
No, I love Sword Art Online. It's fucking incredible.
Okay. Okay.
I think,
Because
yeah,
okay.
minus
So
Fairy Dance
here's
is a
my
bit
hot
iffy,
take.
but
Here's my hot take.
mm-hmm.
Sword Art Online is an amazing show until Kirito does Kirito.
Uh-huh.
Which,
Meaning?
if you don't know what I mean, is my favorite season of Sword Art Online has been the most recent one, like
Oh, when he was in a
Alicization,
coma.
when he was in a coma and he was trapped. He was trapped in like the virtual world, and he didn't know who he was until it got to the end of that arc, and then suddenly he remembered who he was, and now the whole show's ruined. Because the show is at its peak when Kirito isn't being Kirito.
So I read all the light novels up until War of Underworld, back when that was like, that's the latest arc the anime's done. I honestly think the introduction set, this is how fucking weird SAO is. I think the best part of SAO is when Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito were cutting the tree. That is unironically the best part of the entire series. And in the light novel, there is an entire volume of them just cutting the tree. And it's incredible. Because it's the one part of the series. This could have happened with Klein, but it didn't. But Klein just got sidelined because he wanted to be a solo player. This is the one part of the series where Kirito interacts with another guy. And actually, like, forms a friendship with someone he's not trying to fuck.
Yeah.
And it's great.
I support that venture, and I wish that they explored it more in the anime.
Yeah.
But, you know, the anime, they did a good job of, like, showing their friendship with each other. And
So,
I honestly really enjoyed that.
Here's my hot take. I feel like the part before War of Underworld, that should have been 50 episodes. There was so much stuff.
It should have.
There was so much stuff cut out. There was when they were still at like the sword school, there was a tournament arc that vanished. Didn't show up.
Oh, I didn't even know there was that. But, you know, for what I got as like the anime only watcher, because I watch animes, I don't read the novels or anything like that, because, you know, they're kind of hard to get here in the United States, even though you can buy them off of Amazon pretty cheap. You don't necessarily always get the latest.
Right.
Not for a little bit.
Sure.
But, you know, I think that for what we got in the anime, it made sense, everything that they went through. I wish that they stretched out, like, the first half of Alicization. I do agree with you that they probably should have spent more time with that, because I really, really, really enjoyed Kirito before he did Kirito things. Kirito things as in he suddenly realizes that he has a second sword, basically, and becomes like overpowered and just dominates his opponent. That's basically what I mean. So I really enjoyed that bit, and the show does kind of fall off when that happens, and I don't necessarily enjoy those moments of the show, but I still think that overall each and every season of Sword Art Online that we've gotten has actually been pretty good.
I think look, I will agree with people that the original Alfheim arc is not super great.
No, I mean, it's a bit lower overall because we went from like dark fantasy to happy fun time fantasy.
Yeah. I don't agree with it's terrible. I just think it's definitely a low. But coming back to Alfheim with the Mother's Rosario arc is real. That is actually my favorite volume of the light novel. It's really good.
Yeah, it was a fantastic watch too. I mean, it felt a little rushed in some spots for the anime.
It was a little. They tried to so in that part of the anime, they adapted a story they forgot to adapt. So this is the fun thing. The sword that Kirito has, like, he has the fucking Excalibur or something at that point. They forgot to adapt that part when they adapted when they adapted Alfheim originally. So they had to like throw it in there somewhere, otherwise that part just wouldn't make any sense. They could have like retconned it because it doesn't matter after that point. But yeah, they had to like move some shit around, otherwise it kind of just fell apart.
Okay. Oh, another show that I am watching,
Mm.
and it is currently airing this season, is the Pokemon anime, Pokemon Horizons.
I'm not watching it. I was watching
okay.
Journeys. I haven't finished it, but I haven't heard anything about Horizons. Is it good?
Horizons is Japan only, but thankfully using a certain CLI application that you've done a video on in the past, you can watch it. But okay, but the show, I honestly think, is the best anime original airing this season. Like, hands down, original anime. Because they were doing the great thing of, like, putting together a show that's not specific to a single region. Because that's what they've done before.
Well, that's what Journeys was as well.
Yeah, and I haven't watched Journeys because, you know, I wasn't watching it. But, you know,
fair enough.
I figured that there's a brand new anime coming out, new protagonists and everything. I'll give it a try. I enjoy Liko. I do enjoy her character.
I think that
bear,
the series...
bear in mind this is a show that's slightly aimed at children. So yes, you're going to get like those character development in every single episode. Go like, hey, this is the theme of this episode. This is how we develop it. This is how we pass it. But the storyline is actually, I mean, it's fairly basic. I'll be honest with you because, you know, like I said, it's intended for children. But the way that they present it and the way that they go through it, I think that it's probably the best Pokemon video content that we've gotten from them. Is it better than the games? I don't necessarily know. I mean, the game storylines are a little mid in the current generation. I still think that the Sun and Moon still had the best storyline in Pokemon.
Well,
let's go to Hawaii.
with the anime, they've been trying a lot of different things since X and Y. X and Y, they were like, let's just up the battle animation like through the roof. There was some incredible fight scenes in X and Y, and I highly recommend anyone who. So you know how if you think back on how Pokemon was when you watched as a kid, you think it was a lot better animated than it was, and you realize like it's not. It's actually terrible. X and Y is what you thought it looked like. Like, it looked really, really, really good. They make use of a lot of 3D backgrounds, allowing for, like, really dynamic camera movement. Actually, they're really obsessed with camera movement. Every time they go into a gym, they do a fucking, like, sweep around the entire gym. It's, like, just to show the fact they have a 3D camera now. Then Sun and Moon, they changed the art style and tried to go this more, like... They tried to go, like, a more comedy style. And I think it worked pretty well. Journeys was the first time they tried to do, like, the cross-region thing. Like, it was obviously focused... It started focused around, Sword and Shield, obviously. But then it was, like... The first episode was about Lugia. They're just like, oh, yeah, Lugia's here for some reason. Why not? Who cares? And Horizons are like, you know what? Let's try a new protagonist. And I think that they needed to do something there, because... Especially with how Horizons ends, like Horizons, like Ash beats he beats the main gym, the big champion guy in Sword and Shield, who's like supposed to be like the best trader in the world. So it's like, where do you go from there? Like, you beat the best trader, like you're the Pokemon master now. Like, go away. We need new protagonists.
Yeah. And I'm glad that Ash finally got a W at the very end.
Actually,
he deserves it. He spent way too long.
He did technically win the league in Sun and Moon. But in Sun and Moon, they didn't have a league. So the league was made because Ash came to the region and like, let's just have random people do the league.
It's the exact same thing in the video game too. Let's see. One that I watched from like last season. That, you know, they kind of fell into like development hell, and then they just dumped the last 6 episodes on us at once. Near Automata.
I I was playing the game when the anime
Okay.
came out.
The game. Okay. The show caused me to spend money and buy every single Yoko Taro game. Bought them all on Steam because I really enjoyed the show.
You are funding his sadism. I have this love-hate relationship with Yoko Taro. The games he makes are designed to hurt you, but you play them and you enjoy them.
Yeah. I have finished Nier Automata. I actually finished just a few weeks ago.
Wait,
so
like all the playthroughs, like full on finished. So
yes.
you've seen the disgusting credits ending, where there's like the bullet hell where it makes you hate your entire being. Yes.
I absolutely hated it.
So
absolutely hated it.
I hated that when I was doing it, and then I hated it more when I realized how it actually works. When it like asks you to delete your save to like help other people, that's bullshit. That's bullshit because they've got these they've got seed saves in there that don't get deleted that were made by the devs because otherwise the system wouldn't work. Like it just would not work because you wouldn't have enough people finishing the game and deleting their saves to make the system function.
Yep. And I'm glad that the show went with a unique ending.
That makes sense.
Unique ending of the first a unique ending of the first playthrough. I'm glad that they did that and they didn't go down the rabbit hole of all the alternative endings.
Right.
But I'm glad that they kind of teased at some of the other endings.
Well, that's a very Nier thing to do. Like, I've been meaning to go back and actually play through some of the, like, I want to go back and play through Nier. I want to go play what's the other one that got a remake? Replicant.
Yeah, Replicant, which is a remake of the original Nier.
Yeah.
That's one that that's the next game on my video game list, but I'm going to shoot for like a different genre of video game to play for a minute. I just need to figure out which one I want to play.
I need to finish off Yakuza first, and then do something else.
Here's my thing with video games, right? I have a Steam library of video games. I don't play all of them at once. I play one game, and I play just that one game, and that's what I do. Same. Because I am not what you call a gamer. Because, my gaming is Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer. This one's not painted yet. Those are my games. I'm a tabletop gamer. I'm not necessarily like a video gamer. But so that's what I would. Those are the games I play. And as a result, I don't take time on the video games. Mostly because, I just bought a brand new army and I need to paint it. But
never paint. Just leave them unpainted.
Technically not allowed in tournaments.
Should play tournaments then.
Yeah. Well, I should just pay somebody else to paint them for me.
Or you could do that, yes.
I could do that. In fact, rates are actually pretty reasonable, surprisingly. Yeah. But I have more fun in building the models and painting them rather than actually playing the game. That's fair. Fair. Yeah. By the way, the best way to play Warhammer is to not play Warhammer. It's to play one-page rules. Because it's a funner system to play. You actually get to use. Yeah, you actually get to trade turns rather than have one person move his entire army for one turn, taking 40 minutes of your time.
Yeah, no, I see the issue. Yeah.
But Warhammer, fantastic universe. The game system at the time that it came out is a lot better because the only other game system prior to that was Chainmail. Was basically the other popular rule set, but Chainmail has its rough edges, and it was intended for larger armies, where you were dealing with hundreds of miniatures rather than 100 miniatures, or like miniatures that represented 1,000 different miniatures.
Right.
And stuff like that. It got a little convoluted there towards the end.
Well, words. Yeah, that was
words are hard.
Words are hard.
Words.
We should probably end things off because we've gone way over 2 hours now. It's like closing on 2.5 hours.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. say outro. Say where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me by going as easy as tenleyj.com. There is now 2 different pages for contacting me.
Mhm.
There is /contact, or if you really want to track me, /stalker, which is now a hidden link. So if you want to track me as deep as you possibly can, tenleyj.com /stalker. Otherwise, tenleyj.com /contact if you want to angrily shout at me.
Huh. Why do you have...
He's verifying this.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to check it.
Yeah, there are actually 2 different pages.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of them is actively linked.
Awesome. Anything else you want to mention?
No, not really. Which, by the way, OpenSUSE did not sponsor this video. I just got all this swag from Ohio Linux Fest, which is So here's the thing about Linux Fest. By the way, it's a festival for Linux users.
Sure.
If there's an OpenSUSE booth there, grab all the OpenSUSE stuff. Just grab it all.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, gaming channel. We're doing games. Probably playing through Armored Core 6. Maybe I finished it. And Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Maybe I finished it. I don't know. I don't know when this will come out. A couple of weeks. Yes. Main channel. Brody Robertson. Doing these videos there 6 days a week. I'm probably less tired when that happens. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, you can find the video version on YouTube at Tech Over Tea. And if you're watching the video, you can find the audio anywhere you can find audio podcasts. Yeah. Search Tech
I'm a
Over Tea.
subscriber.
Hey?
There are 2 of us. Bye.
Bye.